In this episode of Wolf Tracks, we look at some of the biggest moments of the past decade. We dive into a popular tradition that starts your year off with a rush. You can get a reminder on how to be there for others and how it's okay not to be okay. All that and more in Wolf Tracks.
Oh, one sec, let me get out here. Hello, I'm Bluster, and welcome to Wolf Tracks. This episode's been a year in the making, but hopefully you will enjoy it. For our first story, we're going to take a look back not at this past year, but the 10 years prior, with a look back at the decade that was the 2010s.
2019 comes to a close and we're moving into the new year. Let's take a look back at some major events from the decade. In sports accomplishments, the Chicago Cubs captured their first World Series win in 108 years. After being the best team in the first decade of the century, the Patriots have continued to show their dominance after winning 3 Super Bowls in the last decade. Let's take a look back at some of those wins. The Patriots having one of the most iconic comeback wins in history against the Atlanta Falcons in 2017. Or you can't forget about the classic time the Seahawks didn't run the ball in Super Bowl 49. This decade was the first time in history a woman participated in the presidential debate. And not only did she make it to the presidential debate, she also won the general election by a good margin. Obviously, she didn't win the election, but just got that much closer to putting the first woman in the Oval Office. Looking into the future decade, Elon Musk and the SpaceX Corporation are already in the works to launch their Starlink global broadband internet provider from space. They plan to have 12,000 satellites in space. Once completed, an internet service could be offered as early as 2020. Currently, according to reports, China, India, and the US have the most internet users, but with a service like Starlink, more developing countries could be provided with internet. After officially surpassing 7 billion in population in 2011, the world is predicted to have 8 billion residents as early as 2023, with China and India already surpassing 1 billion by themselves. This feat is very likely and questions the fact if Earth is going to be able to handle this growth of population.
I think we already know that the 2020s will be noteworthy for years to come. But how did some people bring in the year 2020? Well, they made a splash.
A new year, a new decade, and the polar bear plunge is always here. Every year, people come out to Lanah Bridge on New Year's morning to jump off, some for fun and some for a deeper meaning.
2, 1.
Let's hear from some of the people who went this year.
For me, the polar bear plunge is a chance to wash away all the bad and negative energy from last year and start over fresh.
This is Jonathan Jaswick at the 2020 Polar Plunge in Olala. And what it means to me is a new beginning to a new year and in my recovery.
Hi, my name is Logan Roberts. The Polar Plunge this year was for a new beginning.
My name is Corey Barella. I started doing it a couple years back and I kind of just haven't stopped doing it. I just thought it was fun to do every year.
My name's Elise Hopper, and just for me, it was a new thing to start the new year. I've never done it before today.
The polar bear plunge happens every year on New Year's morning, and it's never too late to start a new tradition.
"2021's Polar Bear Plunge may be in limbo, but that shouldn't stop you from coming up with your own ideas to ring in the new year with a fresh start. It's getting a little cold out here, even for a snowman. While I go find a place to get warm and not melt at the same time, take a look at these PSAs produced by the advanced class of S-Gage's video production.
Another day, another wake up, go to school or work, watching the clock, eating, waiting for time to pass by, going back home, back to sleep, then repeating it all over again.
We get stuck in this routine, then lack the motivation to continue as the routine we go through gets harder and harder each day.
And as we live our lives,
it's almost as if when we feel like everything is
coming together,
one small thing gets in the way and leads to another.
Then you're back to square one of finding the motivation.
And the willpower in yourself to keep moving forward.
And on top of all that, we can't help but compare ourselves to other people. School, work, social media.
It seems like there's always someone better than us.
Better looking, smarter, always in a relationship, perfect family life, always happy.
But what we perceive in others and ourselves is simply that.
A perception. Nothing is always as it seems.
There could be that one person you know who is involved in school. They get good grades.
They're happy in their relationship status.
And always has a smile on their face.
But on the inside, they could be falling apart.
A difficult life at home.
Stress, depression, and more overwhelming them.
All while they're trying to fake a smile and get through another day.
These thoughts and feelings can be part of people that you wouldn't even think of.
And if that person is you, trying to hold everything in your life together, when things just keep getting harder and harder, like it's you against the world. Breathe. As cheesy as it sounds, inhale and exhale as many times as you possibly need.
You are doing everything you can and so much more.
You're fighting through the battles and have already come so far.
You're enough.
You're enough.
You are enough.
You will succeed in whatever path you desire.
It's normal to worry and stress about things that don't seem to be going well in our lives. It's because we care about these things.
Stop beating yourself up for things that are out of your control. You're doing the best you can.
You're pushing and moving forward, and that's all you need to do.
It's so hard to keep pushing through when it seems like nothing's going to work out.
But whatever is happening right now is part of a series of events that will lead to your ultimate success.
Even if you don't have a set plan.
Even if you don't know what to do with your life.
Even if you don't get into the college of your dreams.
Even if you don't get that 4.0.
Even if you don't take the AP or IB classes.
Even if you get your heart broken.
Even when it feels like your family's falling apart.
And like your friends are leaving you here and there.
Leaving you to feel alone.
Like a Jew against the world.
But despite all these stubborn, difficult events in life that only seem to be pushing you down,
everyone has their own pathways, and these pathways could not be more different than each other.
If you simply push forward,
you are one more step closer to your dreams,
your future,
and your success.
You will be able to say you made it.
You graduated.
You got that job.
You started a family.
You started a business.
And so much more.
There are so many different ways of living and so many different possible outcomes to your life.
You have to remember that things will be okay, even if they never seem that way.
You might not know it, but you are capable of so much.
You are capable of not listening to those people who doubt you.
To prove your strength and worth to yourself.
You are enough, and more than that. You just have to believe in that, and put trust in the truth. Trust your journey. You'll be okay. And remember, you're more than enough.
We must find time to stop and thank people who make a difference in our lives. John F. Kennedy. Since the holidays are approaching and it's a season of giving, we mustn't forget the people who gave to us. So say thank you to the people in your life. The person who buys you your morning coffee. The person who's your shoulder when you're upset. Your coaches, your teachers, staff, parents, and friends. We thank you for all you've done this year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom! So happy holidays, everyone, and don't forget to say thank you to the people in your lives.
The name's Webster, James Webster. Webb for short, but I go by Detective Webb. You may be confused why you're here. We think you've been involved with a crime. What's the crime, you might ask? It's a common one. In fact, you may even be committing it without even knowing. Now, I'll let you off with a warning, but you have to follow me. Here we have an example. Let's take a closer look, shall we? When you tease your friends, you never know if they could be going through something difficult. Little does this gal know, her friend hasn't been feeling too hot lately. Now don't be mean. Make sure to check in on your friends. And it's best just to stay away from teasing them just in general. Alright, now walk with me. Cyberbullying is a crime, and I'm not too fond of criminals, so make sure if you see anybody cyberbullying or bullying in general, that you stand up to them and let them know that it's wrong.
Have you been washing your hands lately? If you haven't, then there's a big problem with that. About 40% of Americans don't always wash their hands after going to the bathroom. There are so many different things you can catch or give, whether it's an illness or a virus, like COVID-19 for example. But that is all because you don't wash your hands. Step 1 is to wet your hands. After you have done this, then you need to get a bit of soap. Make sure to get every bit of your hands, including under your nails. Then when you are done washing, go ahead and rinse off the soap. Once you are done washing, then go ahead and turn off the water and grab a paper towel and wipe off your hands until they feel completely dry. Thank you, SK, and remember to wash your hands.
Welcome back. Now, while you were gone, I found something that could not only keep me warm, fill me up, but do it on a reasonable price. And maybe you could use it too if you're heading to college.
We interviewed former culinary teacher Miss Naus on good recipes to cook during online school. For this recipe, you're going to need any leftover meat. For this, we used cooked chicken, vegetables of any sort, leftover rice, canola oil, and a type of sauce, such as soy sauce. Heat the oil in a large pan over medium heat. Put the chicken in and reheat for a bit. Put the chopped up vegetables in the pan. Add in the sauce, add in your rice, finally start stirring. Transfer to a bowl and enjoy your delicious and easy stir fry. The next recipe is scrambled eggs in a mug. The ingredients will include vegetables of any sort, any type of cooked meat, salt and pepper, eggs, milk, cheese, and maybe not your favorite mug. Crack eggs into the mug, put in the milk, and whisk. Next, heat up your desired chopped vegetables and meat. Add in the amount wanted and put it in the microwave until fully cooked. Take out and enjoy your eggs.
That was filling. Now for our last story, we take a look at something that I hold very dear to my heart. Well, it's actually made of it. Snow, or what might be the lack thereof in the future, for Western Washington. How can we address this? Well, our very own Connor McKinley has the story.
Every year, the overall global temperature increases. The average global temperature has increased by 1.6 degrees Celsius just from 1860, and it's still constantly rising.
Now what can you do about it? You can actually do more than you think, and you can do it daily. And it all starts with brushing your teeth. Did you know you use 5 gallons of water if you leave the sink running while you brush your teeth? That means you waste around 150 gallons of water a month without even realizing it, just from brushing your teeth. I mean, why would you need to have the water running if you weren't even using it? Oops, I almost forgot. That brings me to my next topic, saving energy. Using electricity has a lot of impact on the fossil fuel industry, so you want to make sure you're turning off any lights you aren't using. Not only does it impact the energy bill, but it also reduces the amount of greenhouse gases that are sent into the atmosphere from factories. Did you know that your diet also heavily impacts climate change? Livestock and heavily processed foods release a load of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Cows release methane, the second highest produced greenhouse gas, and factories produce carbon dioxide, the leading highest produced greenhouse gas. You can fix this in multiple ways. You can eat more meat-free meals, buy organic or locally as often as possible, grow your own food, or start a compost bin. Now, if you want to take action beyond your everyday life, I consider joining one of the many environmentally friendly local organizations here at South Kitsap. Some of them include Green Team, Interact Club, Key Club, and the Sunrise Movement. Most of them take place at South Kitsap High School, or on Zoom at least. Now, let's hear from someone inside one of these organizations.
I'm Michelle. I'm a senior at South Kitsap High School, and I like to paint sometimes, but most of the time I'm thinking about Sunrise and how to stop climate change.
How does Sunrise help fight climate change?
So Sunrise addresses climate change by pushing for systemic change, which is like political action on like the climate crisis. Studies have shown that social movements in the past need, like every social movement in the past that has had over 3.5% of a population has succeeded. So we need to reach that 3.5%, and that means around 11 million people in the US. So we're trying to reach that 11 million people and like mobilize so that we can get what we want.
How can people take action against climate change?
So there are like a lot of like levels of like commitment to climate justice you can take, and like this can mean like attending like a Sunrise event like once a month or something, like going to a vote bank for like a politician that you care about, or writing postcards to encourage people to vote, or anything like that. But also like if you would like to become more active in like the fight for climate justice, you can also join Sunrise by finding us on Instagram and like figuring out how to sign up, because we have the information on the Instagram account.
Thank you so much. Climate change is an ever-going problem that is going to get worse and worse unless we act on it. And now that you know multiple ways on how to help fight it, I challenge you to go out and do it. Maybe you could even join a club, and make sure to tell your friends to also help out the cause. See you later, South.
That's it for Wolf Tracks, and hopefully the year 2020 as well. We hope you enjoyed the show, and I might see you sooner than you might think. It all depends on the next snowfall. Until then, see you around, and have a wonderful new year.
That you're done with your dinner, sitting back in your favorite reclining chair, time for the greatest show on earth. It's Wolf Tracks. It's Wolf Tracks.